Hey everyone, so for this week what we're going to be doing is continuing working on our Maya concept art, and I will explain a few things of what's going to change and what will be done in the next few weeks. Now, I know you probably are like, well, that some of the things you just have now that you're showing us is not what was being shown last time. Now, there's an actual reasoning for this, and that is from here on out, I'm going to start kind of speed painting, so to speak. Not completely doing the whole entire video of speed painting, but it's going to be an explanation of what's going on. And I know that still sounds off, but I do not want to spend like another 15 minutes each time you guys come on to actually know about what I'm already explained I'm doing. Is doing the line art, making sure the line art is correct, and you keep your own timer to know how long you're going to take to do each line art image you want to do, so you're not spending hours, years, days, however, whatever it is. If it's something for someone, like an actual client, you're not going to take years to do, maybe a few months to get the actual concept down for them, and then giving them the actual work not too long after. So as you can see, I'm going over this many times, saying I like this idea, don't like this idea, and that's what you're going to have to deal with when you're working on that, on your images, on any client-based or just for yourself. And that's because you need to know what you want. I say you need to, but it's more like it's going to take a few tries to get exactly the concept idea you want for your image. Now, I am changing from what I had last week for our image, and that's because I found another image that I kind of liked how the armor looks, and I don't want it to look like it's this weird flat image. I kind of want to give it that pop, and that's what you want with your concept art, is to give it a pop. So when it does go into 3D modeling, if that's the case, it looks better. They already have what it's supposed to look like from the actual 2D concept art. And that's kind of where I like to keep in my head when I'm drawing. So that is first thing. Second thing is we're going to show a few things of explaining how I do it. And some professionals might do this too, some amateurs, intermediate level. It varies based off what you're using the concept for. And I like to use it for myself, so I know what I'm doing, and I keep it as clean as possible when I do this. Now, here's the tricks to what I will be doing, and then I'll explain the rest of the plan. Is at the very bottom of your layer section, there's a select layer, make another type of layer adjustment. Fills is at the very bottom, and it's kind of like this, as you can see, I had my mouse over it. It's like a yin and yang, half black, half white, and that's so you can create your levels, change your hue, saturation, all those things. And that's where we're going to be doing in a second here. And that is, I already made one, as you can see. There's this random fill, but I'm going to show how it's set up. What you got to do is when you click it, it'll say solid color, and the reason for this is you'll see in a moment. And since I'm using a black brush right now, it's going to be automatically black. you want it white so you can see the actual image underneath it. So you'll, of course, move it all the way to white, or go under B and just hit 100, and L is also 100, or it's 5Fs is the hashtag, or just if you wanted to type it in RGB, do 255 for all three. What would happen, it comes out white. As you see, it's like this bright white from looking at gray as your original drawing. And the reason is what you want is so you can see how neat is my image that I'm working on, or where am I missing something to make it pop more. So that's basically what the fill helps with. And I am using that. As you can see, it's already there. You can lower the opacity, so you can always like change it to see the actual image in the back. By then, you're pretty much already at looking at the original layer that you have this sketching on. So that's one thing that you can do. Now, the other thing that I'm going to be working on here is I'm naturally left-handed, and this helps for me. I don't know if it really matters to anybody else who's either naturally left-handed or naturally right-handed or ambidextrous, but when you're working on, as you can see, I'm working on the left side of her, which is technically the right side as I'm looking at it. When you flip it around, if you actually look as the person's looking, it's their right, our left. If you have an issue, and I know I do a lot of times, you can always go flip canvas horizontal, and it'll flip everything. So you're now working as if it was on the left side, and also on the right side, as I just said. So that helps a lot, and I'm saying use this to your advantage. I don't have my setup as a hotkey for that flip horizontal. I should, but I tend to forget sometimes to do it, but I would recommend for the rest of you guys to set that as a hotkey so you're not constantly going to image rotation and then flopping to canvas flipping. And that will help you a lot with making sure it's even on both sides of things. Your image itself looks even, and that you get what you want out of your line concept. As you see, I'm trying to edit this, and this is why also for next few videos, as I said, I'm going to kind of go as a speed art run. I will stop if there's something that I feel like I need to tell you guys that I did that's different, so you guys aren't wondering, well, hey, she did that, and all our other videos have a explanation, but that one didn't have an explanation. So that is what we're going to be working on for the next time, and that's so that you're not wasting time if you want to see more of how it's done, of how it gets done, I should say. I know that sounded so redundant for a second there, but anyways, while you're working on this, as you can see, I want to keep it so that it looks 3D-ish, so it's kind of popping. There will be a few areas that I may add white to, as you can already see that I added white to some spots, and that's because it's kind of saying, hey, it's lighter on this side because the light's hitting it, and it's darker in some spots because there's no light hitting it. Very simple. But sometimes I even forget, so that's why I'm working on this, to show you guys how I do things and also help you guys out. So the other thing I've also noticed is while you're doing this, you're going to see that you're not really tracing, or I'm not really tracing, but eventually you're going to say, well, this is more like tracing more than actually coming up with the concept. And the reason you want that trace type feel is to be feeling, not necessarily feeling, but you want to get the actual lines down, so when it does get finalized, it looks better, and you're not going back filling in areas with a paint bucket, because I don't really like the paint bucket idea. As you can see, if I do that right now and I'll pick a color, kind of like a red, if I did a paint bucket, it has, if you look really closely, there's areas that don't really feel right, and it just feels odd, and it won't give that oomph later on of what needs to be fixed for it. You could always turn on, you could look at your image on the white. As I said, that's why the fill's there, so you can see it. And keep a timer. I know I said this last week, but the timer helps a lot, so you know exactly how long it's taking you to do certain things. As you notice, I jump around from one spot to the next, but you don't want to completely stay in one spot all the time, because then you're going to find yourself always going, oh, well, that doesn't look right, or you'll be, for what I was doing last time, I had the armor that I'm working on right now, this armor piece. I did not like how it looked, and I've been changing it since, so I'm trying. You want to continue to move forward and not dwindle, not dwindle, can't think of the word right now, dawdle, sorry, took me a while there, dawdle on just one aspect of the art. So that's where you want to try and continue to move forward and not backwards, so to speak. So see, you gotta move around. So you could be like, well, that doesn't look right there. Rotate your canvas constantly so you can see if it looks right. And I think I finally got that on the arm, on the leg side here. I'm know for some people, when they talk about what they're doing on one side, I like to go as how I'm looking at it. So to me, it's the right side. And that's just how I look at it, because if I turned around and faced exactly how she's facing, it's going to be the right side. But if I, looking at it, it looks like it's the left side, so I tend to say right side. So at least you guys know for future reference, if I say that, it's the direction the actual character is looking, not the direction I am looking. So, there. Now, the other thing I will you guys keep in mind, is if you don't like the size of the brush you're using, always shrink it, because there's spots, as you notice, that it's just too thick and you need to make it thinner. So keep that in mind while you're doing this. And from here on out, don't forget your timer. Put some music on that you enjoy so that you continue to work on this, because this is, let's say, for me, this is going to be my project, and I want it done in a certain amount of time before something else gets done. Let's say I want it 3D modeled and rigged by June, so I gotta work on this constantly so I know, okay, how long is it going to take me for if I want to do another concept later on. So that's why the timer is there. I know I gave that last week, but this gives a little more oomph of why I say the timer. I mean, some people say do it anyways, so you have practice for it. But yes, so for the last few minutes, I will continue to work on this. And just remind you guys, from here on out, we're going to do a little bit more different speed running. I will if you guys have any questions, in the next videos or in this video or any of the videos. Those are always welcome. Questions, comments, concerns, dislikes, likes, all of them. If you hate it, tell me. If you don't hate it, tell me. So that's really helpful to pretty much any artist. So, hope you guys continue to enjoy. And to wrap this up, I will see you guys next week.